camouflage be adequate? I'd still probably get them over there if it was aspen or something.
Well, see, the reason I use them is because I'm trapping in urban areas. I have to camouflage my traps. But you know, I would do that anyway. I think it's just like an extra added attraction, and it looks more natural, and that's just something I got used to.
The lure would be adequate by itself.
Yeah. You can take on a butt of a branch and stick it in the mud behind it so it comes out.
Yeah, that's what I've done, is actually taken
Yeah.
stick. Yeah, the other thing about using sticks for bait, if you're relying on the sticks for bait, is that you want to make sure the beaver still comes to the center there and isn't standing off to the edge, so you can't spread the, you know, you want the focal point to be right over the, over the treadle.
Oh, come here.
Right in where the sticks are all joined together.
I've never caught a beaver cockeyed.
So, I mean, obviously, Tippie, you never put signs out to say warning,
No.
danger.
Because you know why? Because people will come messing around.
Right, that'll attract them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you want to cover this up too, don't you?
Are you concerned
I
about
don't.
liability?
I've never
Because
had a
you don't have
problem.
sign?
I've never had a problem.
Sherri, did you say you had a kid before, or did you say kid?
Kit. I mean, kids are so much fun to make, you know. No, I'm sorry.
It's going to be on Animal Planet.
No. And then I put my foot on the trap and take the safety off.
Treadle is holding that thing in place of
The
it.
safety is just that ring.
Yeah. But she's now,
It's holding that bar in place until you're ready to
The ring.
set.
yeah, now it's set.
And you don't worry about
It's
hair
got a treadle just like an old-fashioned steel trap.
Pardon me?
You don't worry about hair triggering it, you just engage that completely, right?
Yeah, I use, yeah. What do I do? I take it off, I take the safety off, and I hold the bar down with my hand. And then I use one hand to manipulate the lip of the dog, the lip of the pan over the dog.
Is the potion over here? I haven't smelled it yet.
Isn't that good? Now there's another one that Blair Waite made, and it's like he put a little skunk in here or something. I don't like it as much. See, this doesn't smell good. It smells dirty. Todd Baker smells clean.
That was pretty exciting.
Then there's another one called Tail Slapper. There's Blanket Buster. And that's not nice, is it?
Now, what are the ingredients of this stuff?
I don't know, anise, a little bit of anise, a little bit of mineral oil, a little bit of beaver castor, just different things that trappers put in there. But that stinks, doesn't it?
How much of that stuff do you put on there? Just a little bit?
Oh yeah, you can just see a
If you
little
ever
bit.
smell that, you know you're getting close to them, right?
No, we haven't talked about the natural behavior of the beaver, and any of us talk about, I guess it will come up later, that they normally scent mark their territory. They build these mounds of mud on the bank, and they come up and deposit their castor on that just to mark the territory. So that's what we're doing. You're getting this beaver to say, why is this other beaver here? Come and check this
Yeah,
out.
being investigated. The other thing is if you're trapping earlier in the year, you can use like, because the beaver's just been beat up by the parent beaver being pushed out of the lodge, you'd use like an apple mash. I would think it's just an apple. Need a stick.
Can I get it back afterward?
I wouldn't want to hurt it.
Okay, just stick right here. Just standing on it. You got one. Sherri, do you put an apple in?
Huh?
I didn't see how you said it. How you
Oh.
You want a bigger thing?
Actually, wait a minute. You know what? I hate to spring them like that. Ooh, that's weird. Now that's weird.
We don't want you flipping up upside down in the air.
Check it out. What's wrong with that? Come on, sucker.
There we go.
I don't like that. What'd they do that for?
Was there somebody have another?
I also don't like that. Check it out. You'd lose a beaver.
Yes. Getting that thing, didn't you?
Huh, I don't like that at all.
I wonder if that's meant to be to hold the thing.
Yeah, that's a hold close, so that the beaver doesn't.
Because the beaver can actually push that trap open.
Very strong, yeah. Very strong.
Yeah, and I never talked about holding a beaver. If you're getting a testy beaver, you can grab them right behind their arms and you can kind of guide them to keep them from turning on you. I don't like that at all. That's weird. I want to set one on land and see what's happening. You know, if something isn't broke, don't fix it. You know that? Leave it alone.
Mess with it, right?
No, wait.
I know. I'm just wondering what's
Okay.
going on there. Is this not going down all the way? Is that
Yeah, I don't. You know, that could be it. That could be it. Okay, get back, honey bunny.
It was going down and not releasing.
Look at that. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
That's a little dangerous.
Okay, you guys back up.
You ever actually watched a beaver before?
I was up in Evergreen and heard a beaver, the female. But I used
must flip and bend over tail.
I don't think so. It's gonna flip your way, sweetie.
Yeah, I know.
Did that time.
It does flip them over because the one that they're sitting on is what's going to
It did the same thing.
Although with their weight on there, it'll help.
See, that's bad. This is bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not working.
Yeah, it's not.
They're supposed to do that. There's supposed to be a spring on there.
No spring.
There's a cotter pin in there.
It's supposed to come in.
He's chinsing on the Y. He's chinsing on the chain link. This is supposed to be down. A kit could get out of there.
When was this redesigned? Just this year?
No.
Well, these are brand
He's been working on it. Yeah, they're brand new traps.
Same guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call him.
No, it's not broken. It's
And
You can buy now?
yeah,
there's only one person, one company that makes it.
yeah, Hancock. Yeah, it's only one person that makes it. Yeah.
Their weight?
Where is he?
Custer, South Dakota.
This one's called a Bailey.
I ordered 3 to 5 weeks ago.
Oh, for this?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is this that? They make it? Good.
So it's just
It's too bad they're getting worse instead of better.
Yeah, you think the quality would get better.
Work the other way.
getting more requests.
Making it faster and cheaper or whatever. I heard the price has gone up.
Well, I paid to $2.15 and a $20 shipping.
That's not higher than it's been. I know people bought them 5 or 6 years ago. They are $200 or so.
I was getting it for 181
From Blair
about
Bay?
3 years ago.
3
Yeah.
years ago, really?
He doesn't even give you this. Like, I wanted to buy like 6 or even more. And
Oh, I
there's
bet
no like
that's bad.
discount in buying. 'Cause we're kind of raffle.
Well, I guess if
Give
you,
them out,
if you
you know?
yeah. I guess the prices aren't talking about are through dealers thing.
Huh.
Yeah, so they're like over
Beat it.
Plan to leave these out and maybe catch a beaver overnight and you can see tomorrow, or just a trap setting done.
Just a trap setting demonstration.
Did you want to talk about releasing the beaver out of there too?
Yeah, the other fun thing with this trap is I always put the beaver in my collapsible cages, and it's like they're so accommodating. You really rarely get a beaver that's feisty like that. What you do is you slip the rings off like they are now. After you caught the beaver, just a minute. You slip the rings off. Okay, so the rings are on. You slip them off, and then you let the beaver out the bottom, and they usually just walk right into a cage.
If I let him out the bottom and out.
I call this the bottom of the trap. Yeah.
But does that open?
No, this is fine. They can squeeze right out.
Squeeze.
Uh huh.
No kidding.
They're-
Looks like it's only about 6 inches.
Well, if they
I-
stick their head through it, then they just flatten.
Yeah, they can flatten out like a mouse.
Plus, that's a little flexible, maybe.
Not really.
No.
It's not.
They can get right out.
It's just that that's really all the space they need.
So the gaps in my fences are 6 inches by 6 inches.
They can get out.
Ah.
But
the difference is
it's
that's
rigid
so wide,
and they can't generally.
But that's so wide. See,
Yeah,
6
that's
inches,
wider,
they couldn't get
right.
that.
And if to get a beaver to move, you can lightly blow on them. They don't like that. You can.
Face or
On their back, they don't like to be blown on. Yeah. You go. When I did the Buffalo Girls, that's how I got them out of the cage. So if you ever watch that mini-series, when they release the beaver into the pond and you see them leave, you won't see me, but I'm behind there going. I was one of the beaver wranglers in Buffalo Girls, the CBS mini-series. The film company kept calling me because they got 2 beaver from Alabama that were going to be killed, and they caught them and they shipped them to, that's weird too, they shipped them to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so here they were wild beaver, and they kept calling me, well, how do you do this, how do you do that? And I said, well, if you pick them up, you crisscross your arms underneath the beaver, grab the hind leg and blah, blah, blah. And if he's really feisty, you grab him behind the arms, you can walk him, put your foot on the tails, they have no leverage, and then you can, just calm them down, just walk them. They calmed back about 4 or 5 times, and finally she said, what are you doing next week? I said, well, nothing. She said, well, would you come down here and work with us with these beaver? When I got down there, I found out they never believed me. They didn't believe that you could do this, like pick up beaver and stuff. So I walk into the cage, these wild beaver, pick them up, put them on my hip, and okay, where you want them? I was like, wow.
That is amazing. I want to believe it.
Huh?
Controlling their tail.
Controlling their tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, when
One up and the tail started going. Sorry.
when you pick them up like that, yeah, their tail will move because they're not used to being elevated off of the ground. But when they're on the ground, because they can use their tail for a lot of leverage, if you just put your foot, not stamp on it, but just put your foot gently on them and hold them, and they will calm down, and then you can like kind of straddle them and walk them.
Once you have them up and you're carrying them.
I just put their butt up against my hip, and it'll kind of smack you, but it doesn't hurt.
They do bite you. How fast is their bite?
You know what? They can move fast, man. But what they do is they don't like pull and jerk. They bite and release. It was like being cut with a razor. And then I was with this guy from Bureau of Management. He goes, did he bite you? I said, oh no, he just pinched me, man. Because he said, well, rabies. Well, I'm not concerned about rabies,
So they can cut you pretty good.
Oh, they cut you to the bone, yeah. But my girlfriend, this beaver was getting so hot, he'd been in the car, right? And I said, you be careful of that beaver. It was the most reddish beaver I've ever seen. She's holding it in the truck with her hands on its butt and its head right here. And the beaver was getting really hot. He bit her right here. She had 2 like elongate, looked like long hickeys, but they, he almost drew blood, but he didn't. But it was, whoa, man. She goes, look what he did.
They don't dig you with those enormous front claws.
No, and and their claws, they look like their claws are so sharp, and they'll grab you and like go like that. They don't even leave marks. They don't leave marks,
It's
I
amazing
gotta
because
try
they're
that.
strong
Back in
enough.
Colorado.
Sure. Oh, and I got to tell you guys, beaver, they smell really fresh and clean.
Okay, thanks.
Tell them the story of the beaver pee.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's safe audience.
Okay. The beaver, when I would like relocate them, right, and I would be carrying them and stuff. And if you put your hand by their cloaca, they have one hole for everything. And like you just like smell your hands, and it smells like willows, just clean and fresh. It's wonderful. So I was trapping up in Evergreen, and I caught the whole family, right? And I couldn't catch the female. I tell the children that beaver, just like humans, females are the smartest because they're the hardest to catch. Most of the time. Anyway, just kidding, guys. So I thought, well, what I'll do is to get the female, I had all the babies and the father, and I thought, well, I'll just take some of the beaver kit urine and I'll put it on the trap, and maybe I can catch the mother. So I held the beaver baby above a bowl, and they just pee, So I drew it up in a syringe, and we go up to Evergreen, and this woman from the Canyon Courier was doing a story about relocating the beaver. So my volunteers set in the trap, and I got this syringe full of beaver urine. And she stopped asking me questions, and I just put a little drop on me, and I was smelling it. She goes, what's that? And I go, oh, here. She goes, wow, that's wonderful. What is that? I said, it's beaver pee. Look how this is bent. Where's that other trap?
Yeah, it's right
Let me
there.
look at that one. Why are they so different?
One at the top.
Close it up. Let me close it up.
This is the one you were just using?
Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Kelsey's not a good place.
Really?
It's not.
The thing you were saying was, you regretted was this looseness here.
Right. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be tight down like this. And like I said, I think that they're chincing on the fence because it almost pulls it open, see? Look at that. My traps have a big bulge in them here, like this. They should be like this.
Yeah, this thing is maybe on that.
He said the price of aluminum was going up, but hey, man.
Yeah, I think they put this here to save on fastener.
No, they never.
They've never been fast. They
This-
fit real
this-
tight
this is the
down.
fastest one.
See, yeah, they fit real tight, and then there's this, the basket should be like this, but these should be down.
Oh, yeah, you're that is.
If I have.
Only a real young kid.
Yeah, but if you lose a kid, you know, I mean, I sure can't afford to do that. Around with the family together.
Let somebody else try to set.
Yeah, go ahead on.
Who wants to set one?
Let me hold it up.
So Sherry, the silver cap is better, or are they both the same?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to set it and slam it and see. Okay. Anyway, somebody set that one.
Hey Sherry, how many screws do you have in the trailer?
None. Yeah, I don't use them. I mean,
No, I said if you need help, I can do that in your body.
when you hold them open with your knees, make sure all of this is open. The dog should be up, the safety's over here in this bar. Okay is over here. Make sure everything is open. And you lift it up a little bit, hold it with your knees. You put this through one of these links and then set it right in this groove, okay? Put this bar over. When you're holding this, reach up and grab this and put your safety on. Cool, okay. Now let's see what happens.
Seems like she could actually set that through the other side. Through the opening on the other side.
Sit up against the wall.
Dig a hole in the wall. Just sit in it.
How the beaver dig the hole?
Yeah,
Can I have your shoe?
make it a creep up.
Thank you, babe. Thank you, babe. Okay, let's see how this one works. Woo! Missed it.
That one works.
It doesn't. Check it out.
Wow. Obviously, I guess in the state of Massachusetts, that sandal cannot be relocated. Yeah, Steve.
That's how I get my shoes.
That shoe has to be done
Rapid
right.
sandal.
Here, babe, let me.
I'm just seeing what's different about it, and why it ain't lining up. I think this one's hitting this like that.
Yeah.
These aren't bent close enough together.
That's what I think so too. I think they need to be bent.
No, I think, see what happened? This one here was hitting that. So when this hits this, this has to come up.
Right.
It's hitting that bar, where this one is not doing it, it's going up. This wire needs to be bent down a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, but. Huh. Well, I'll call Blair.
Not after it's strong.
That's what holds the trap together.
That is goofy.
I don't know why they don't spring up. Geez, it's really not adjustable.
I would think the bed spring would be give a little more give and
He says now they're guaranteed for life.
Yeah, it looks like it's all twisted up. With that cable. The thing on the cross piece on the bottom line needs to be spun around the other way.
That's what I said.
Yeah, it's just this piece.
You have to spin that around because the cable is
When you're going up, and you put the lift up, and you're trying to lift up, it's stepping on that rock.
It gives you more.
Alright, there you go.
It's doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I like the cable, but I like the idea.
Like I said, you discussed it.
Yeah, see, almost all of them, if you look at the tops of them, they're all bowed up. So what's happening is they're getting
I know it wasn't on a good speed, it was on extended, but I do like that segment, from Long Cable News showing Skip with Beaver Deceiver. So if we had to, we could try and use that.
I think.
Pull this back out.
Are they going to do it? He's got it.
Here we go. Now this is set about 10 inches of water when it's set. When you're setting this thing, you're setting it in the water. So you're working in 10 to 12 inches of water with this trap. When the animal's caught, he's still in 10 to 12 inches of water. And it comes shipped, well, it comes like this when it folds up. That's about its best fold that you're going to get it. Okay, and they've got two safety devices, one on either side. You pull down one side at a time, and these are the trip mechanism, or the dog, as we call them. This is your trigger. Pull down one side, lock it safely. The other side, lock it safely. Now the way this trigger works is it's a one-directional thing. The animal has to be traveling through. This one looks like they've modified it. It used to be only one direction. This one I think would work either way. What this does is it squeezes together, sits on top of here. Like this. And you have to pull these pieces back. And again, remember, you're in 10 to 12 inches of water, so you have no trouble getting away. Okay, now it's set. You pull your safeties off. And you don't need to bait this trap, because what you're doing is you're setting it up in a travel lane. So as the animal comes through, back.
Is it advantageous to do so nevertheless?
You wouldn't have to underwater. It's already going to be underwater, and it's a travel lane that they're using, and they're used to it.
You always put a little stick in with a little drop of something on it.
You could attract them. If you wanted to bait, say, the banking over here, you put a bait stick and have them travel through to it, it wouldn't hurt. It's basically travels this way. And that's it. They do have several modifications. Now there's quite a few separate regulations for this in Massachusetts over the standard trap, because there's a modification that's been made to these locking mechanisms so you don't wind up with that free leg like was happened on that trap over there. This is new, the cable on here. Used to be little chains. It's the first modification that I've seen that came from the factory on this trap. You do need to be certified to use it, though. You need to take the Bailey Hancock certification in this state. I'm a certified instructor for this trap and for the Bailey and for the Hancocks.
You prefer one over the other?
Well, I like these traps. They're terrific. The Hancocks.
Yeah.
If it's what I own, I don't.
You prefer those?
Well, yeah. So far, I have 100% catch rate. But
just because I am a trapper, I'm going to go one further and say I have a 100% catch rate on a 330 out of it too. So I'd rather carry 6 of the other ones than 6 of these someplace. But
less of a workout though.
well,
End results still with the beaver, right?
yeah, I guess you could say that. If we can't relocate, I mean, if I was going to do relocation, that's what I would, definitely would use it. In certain situations, I take the beaver, I put them in the trap in my car, just like she does, right? And like you say, there's a technical thing. If you're in an area where you can't dispatch them, take them away. But I also feel that the public has a right to have their feelings protected. If they don't want to see it happening in an area, much less have to go out there and actually dispatch the animal right on site.
Can you? It would seem that they're designed for 2 different places. This, at least Sherri was talking about putting these against the bank. Can you put that in the middle of the stream also?
Well, I'll tell you. All right, I will go into this trap a little bit if I can. The way Sherri set this trap up on the bank is great, except for when I'm dealing with them, I'm dealing with a group of people who don't want me to be there doing it. And out of the last situation I had, 30 nights of trapping, I had 21 nights the traps were tripped. So, and then the last nights I caught beaver consistently.
Who are these folks?
Believe it or not, they were just neighbors.
They want the beaver?
Yeah, and actually one of them was a hunter. My understanding is he was a hunter, but his thing was that his family had gone down, seen the beaver, given them names, and there was a potential situation. It was during the trapping season, and it was also during the month of February. And the other thing about these traps is if there's ice, they don't work. Okay, so if we had actually had a normal winter this year, this whole scenario that I went through this past February never would have happened, because we wouldn't have been using it. And but I put these traps, I started hanging them out in the water, got a lot of flack for it because people said, hey, he's trying to drown the beaver, made it in the papers. And actually what we do is I hang them out on a tree. Part of your tree here? I'll hang the trap out on a tree here. First time I ever did it, hanging a trap out here, so I was out in my boots in the water. I cantilevered a log, an old log up behind there, hung the thing up to sort of cantilever the trap out, and then strapped the trap to the tree. So then I was completely surrounded by water. What I did was I just set it up where there was a passageway coming out, standard runway, and on this side I was standing about waist deep in water. On the other side it went to over 7 feet, and just hung the trap up there. And I just used a couple of poplar sticks or aspen, whatever you want to call it, a couple drops of bait, and when they traveled by, it's catching them every single time.
Do you ever use snares? Or are they illegal?
They're illegal in this state.
And
but,
that was the Hancock.
It's another argument.
That was the Hancock you were hanging from the tree.
The Hancock from the side thing, right? Yeah. And it's still set in only about 4 inches of water. So that when it goes off, they're suspended out there. I did have a group of people that were going nuts. They're saying, look at the beaver, he's going crazy in there. He's stressed out. And what I wanted doing was, I said, he's not stressed. They said, oh yes, he's very stressed. Look at him, he's fighting the trap. What he was doing is I had wired into the back of the trap, the poplar sticking, was going like this. He finally ripped the thing off and then proceeded to chew it right now and chuck it out and go after the next one. So he was just sitting there very happy in his little cage. He wasn't fighting anything. I mean, there's no doubt he was not stressed at all.
So you got to set them up in the river. You can't set it up outside.
Yeah, well, you know, there's with the safety set, I guess you could pick it up and carry it out. But you know, depending on the situation, I mean, a lot of those areas you got a lot of snags you have to deal with.
That's got to be in at least.
They say to set it in approximately 10 to 12 inches. 12 inches.
There's one thing about the Hancock.
Well, if it's deep enough water, it could. But like she said, like Sherri said, if these traps are set and you get a sudden pulse of water coming through there, there's a chance they're going to drown there anyway.
But one thing that hasn't been mentioned is that the Hancock's designed, if you wanted to take the whole beaver and pick it up out of the water, so it's not in the water when the weather's cold. Okay.
State regulations require that this trap is set with 4 inches, approximately 4 inches.
Right, but then if you have cold icing problems or the weather's cold, then you have a beaver that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, one of the things I do with these traps is I set timers on them. I never trap without a timer on my traps for two reasons. One is I'll know I can track when the beaver's actually being caught, and that way, I keep my own little journal on that so that I'll know. So when somebody, if I get into a situation and somebody says, well, geez, how long's he been in there? And I can actually go down and check the timer and see.
What time of day are most of them caught?
When I hang them on a tree, I run they got these little $14 trail timers, and I run a string to it, and you run it down and under to the jaw, and when it goes off, it trips the timer, it tells you the date and the time the animal's caught. And since we have to check them in this state daily, all the beaver trapping I did in February with these things, all beaver were caught between 4 and 5 a.m., and all traps were checked by 6 to 6:30. So they were not in there for an extremely long period of time.
You get those?
Any sporting goods.
Any sporters.
For trail timers, or for patterning wildlife.
Idea of when the deer come forward.
It also tells you what time the people are tripping your traps.
Wow, that's great.
When you want to sit out there in the woods and catch them. Which by the way, is somewhere between come home from work, eat supper, trip the traps, and then be back in time for World News Tonight.
People are pretty creative.
Yeah, they are. They're so happy. I had no trouble catching these people. So essentially, trapping season starts November 15th, runs to February 28th. In this state, that's November 15th through a couple of days, usually. And we usually start getting ice not long after that.
Right.
So our trapping season is zip. And our trapping pig. Yeah, you can set them in running water, but
I just think it's more uncomfortable for the beaver.
Anything on land, it'd have to be the box trap.
yeah, cages. And I have
The cages.
I use them a lot, but I just haven't used them.
Go on, you know what I found? I was using a lot of cages that I made for the beaver. I didn't lose gold beaver because we figured the cage they could move around with it restricted and that. And I had ice right up to the edges, and yet they were doing pretty good in the morning. I didn't lose any.
I've done them with a half in, half out of the water.
Yeah, they had it like in 6 inches of water.
We're very restrictive in what we can use under the new guidelines too. I mean, development of new devices is literally almost, for this state, it's virtually almost out the window if there's something that may restrict them one way or another. The law states suitcase style traps too. Cage or suitcase style. So that limits the idea of maybe building a pen up on the side of the bank in somewhere. We also have a limit on the opening of only 18 by 20 inches, no bigger.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I mean, that kills your cage trapping for coyotes right there.
It's too bad they're being snares too, because that's a good live capture.
Right. I can show you right here. This goes over, and this piece comes back. This is called the dog, and this is actually an extension of the hand. And this fits into a notch right here, which, as we were talking about modification, you may have heard somebody say that. Usually if you buy a trap out of a box, you're going to use it. There's certain adjustments that could or should be made to them to make them operate more efficiently. And one of the things that this has is a pan tensioning device. I asked about that. She said she doesn't use it. But you can adjust the screw. And actually, and you can do the same thing for leg holds, traps, and there's a scale that you can actually use to adjust the weight of the trap, of the pan set, so that you won't, for instance, catch a 5 or 6, 7, 8 pound cat and say something you're going after that's going to weigh 30 pounds or so. So you can adjust that. It's one way of aiming it. This little dog comes over. Now, this is, to me, this is a little long. It doesn't give a lot of clearance. Yeah, that's okay. The other thing is that the end of this pan's a little rounded. If this was mine, I would file that so it's square, so that as soon as it comes back, it would fly off instantly. And I would adjust the dog a little bit on it, and so that when it goes down, it's a lot cleaner. Okay. Just want a nice, clean, tight pan on it.
Sherry, hold on a second.
So the other thing that I do is I'll run a wire from here up and tie it on there, and then when I hang the trap out in the water, I can reach around, take the wire over, and I don't have to reach back and
then flip it over.
With the matter which way you go with the.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Put it on the other, and then step on the V bar like a ballerina.
Sure.
Okay, and push these up with your thumbs. And then grab the basket side There you go, good, and walk back.
Yeah, that hasn't been a problem.
Put your knees on it. Very good. Hold it up with your knees. There you go, girl.
Okay, now what?
Spread your legs.
My mother.
And make sure everything is open here. This should be over. There, and your dog's up, your pan's down, your ring's up there. Now, come up a little bit and take this bar and flip it over the edge of the trap.
And this has got to come up anywhere.
You're going to have to come up a little bit.
Bring this up.
Release your, just come up with your knees. There you go, see, to give you some room, see? Now you got too much spring in there, see, honey?
Yep.
Come up a little more. I got my foot on it. We're jamming.
Maybe he doesn't care about catching kids. You know, he might want the kids to go away. You know?
Maybe.
Maybe that's what